Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of my little lovelies out there. And I hope that you're all super duper and deliciously well wherever you are in the world and that life is treating you most deliciously. So, what do we do? There we are. My juicy little lights. Thank you, little lights. You're delicious and bright, yes. So, what is the time, Mr. Wall? So, it is 1:30 in our old afternoon, my delicious babies, in our old England. And although it's very dry, um, there's a tiny bit of wind, and it's a lot cooler. Okay, yesterday was a bit warmer. Okay, my delicious little babies. Now then, after speaking about, firstly, after speaking about, myself, um, you know, because I am doing my utmost to grow some different things, my beautiful little celery, my beautiful little carrots, my beautiful little spuds, my beautiful little cucumbers. Never needed to stumble there. Well, it appears that somebody's been at the box in my garden, my delicious little baby. So, and won't be tired, how many spuds, potatoes should come out of the box? Three. Okay, my delicious little babies. So, and of course, dragged a bit of mud, just after I've jet washed my slabs in my garden, my delicious little babies. So, thank you for that, you piece of effing shite, whoever you are. Now, I was also saving little egg boxes, okay, my delicious little babies. And you see, the fact of the matter is, ones could say, oh, well, maybe it's a little fox or something like that, my delicious little babies. No, it's not a little fox, because I know for a fact that my beautiful little foxes never do anything like that. So this is man-made. It is somebody who has came into my garden and done this. Okay? Because even though we had a lot of rain yesterday evening, it would not have done that. It would not have done that. And they tore off a corner, of one of the boxes. Then they took two like little holes out. And then, of course, what's the magic number? Number 3. Okay, my delicious little babies. So this is what I've been on and off, my delicious little babies, putting up with now for quite some time. Okay, my delicious little babies. So I just thought I'd let you all know that. So to whoever you are, you piece of shit, why don't you F off nicely and go and, well, actually, I do not want you to go and bother anybody else, because I do not want anybody having to put up with what I've been having to put up with for this long time. And of course, when you can never catch who it is, this makes it all the more difficult for myself, my delicious little babies. Anyway, so I thought I'd let you know that, my delicious little babies. So now I'm going to have to transfer my spuds. Oh, God, sorry about that, my delicious babies. So I'm going to have to transfer my spuds somewhere else now. Okay, so I just thought I'd let you know that. Okay, so sorry, my left eye keeps jumping. Usually means going to hear something, bad news or disappointment. Anyway, my delicious little baby. So yeah, so what is it that I want to have a quick natter about today? And I hope that you're feeling the love. You continue to feel the love, okay? Yeah, well, right, what do I want to say? So I was listening to a video this morning on our, with anybody not in that way, not in that way, on our lovely all spaces, mornings with Mal K Rumble. Okay, my delicious little baby, she's now up to 314,000 subscribers, my delicious baby. Oh, bless her. Bless her lovely, dear little soul, and her dear husband, Rob. Bless them both, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, they work very hard on their videos. And our lovely little Mal, she does an awful lot of research, my delicious little babies, and she's well worth, there we are, a listen to, there we are, and subscribing to, my delicious little babies. So anyway, she happened to be talking to, so fast forward, she happened to be talking to this woman now then from Germany, Madelish babies called Beatrix. Okay. And anyway, well, what Beatrix was talking about, and part of this to do, because of course, for anybody who knows about what's going on in Germany, well, at the moment, Martin babies, and we have for quite a long time, uh, there is quite a number, there we are, of countries that are going through shat right now, Martin babies. And and nobody can turn around and say that one country is better than others industrially. That's just my input separately uh, to what I'm going to be saying, Martin babies, because I believe that each and every country, okay, um, all different mankind, bless them, I believe that they have many skills and talents, Martin babies. So we cannot just say, oh, one country in particular, because we cannot say that, Martin babies, because we can say that about any country. Okay, Martin babies, that's the way I see it personally. Okay. But so this wasn't part of that. That was just my separate input. But I absolutely love listening to our lovely mornings with Mel K, you know, with Mel and Rob, bless them. You know what I mean? Not in that way, not in that way, like I said. Now then, I've been hearing, as well as on our lovely Little Mel's channel, I've been hearing on some other channels, and we're talking about here to do with languages. Okay, Martin, babies. Now, for myself, I've said this on other videos, and I'm going to repeat this again. Okay, so say for example, if for any reason you need to leave your own country, so whether that be for purposes, and again, sorry about this, Martin babies, okay, sorry, it's just got things coming in my noddle. You know, before I say what I'm going to say, which is to do with the video I was listening to. So unless you need to leave your country, whether it's business, care, Martin babies, or if you meet somebody and there we are, and you get married, well, that is an entirely different thing, okay? The way that I see things, Martin babies, is quite simply like this, that, okay, it's one thing going on a holiday, okay? And I know this from my beautiful, I love them so, my beautiful dear little nanny and granddad always just said good morning, that when my beautiful dear little nana and granddad used to go away, they used to always, especially my dear, beautiful dear little nana, because they're both so beautiful, she used to take her little books along with her, you know, whether she was going to Spain, Italy, France, you know, and she would do her utmost to learn some of the language, there we are, while she was there. Okay, Martin babies, because she's seen that as being, there we are, very respectful. Okay. Now, say for example, if you move to a country and you're going to be living in that country, well, my belief is that one should learn the language. There we are, should learn the language. Okay, so whatever country one goes to, there we are, they should learn that. There we are, that language. Okay, especially if you live in there. Okay, so it's like myself coming from England, going to another country, and while I'm there, never ever speaking in another language. Well, no, because I would need to learn, there we are, another language. Okay, my delicious babies, I put this down to, there we are, ding, ding, dong, dong, common sense. You see what I mean, my delicious babies? So that's just the way that I see it, okay? Of course, maybe others see things now in a different way. We've got it in England, my delicious babies, okay? So at the end of the day, what happens is you've got somebody who wants to come from a different country. Sometimes, my delicious babies, they do not want to come from their own country to another country. They want to stay. Their sole wish, there we are, is to be able to live in their own country and have the freedom, whether they own their own little businesses or whatever they do. Plus the climate. So, say for example, if they come from a hot climate, you know, I mean, who'd want to come to England really? Come on, ding ding dong dong, Martinishtik babies. When half the time it's peeing down with rain. So, what sense does that make, Martinishtik babies? Absolutely no sense at all, isn't it? So, so if they had the choice, there we are, they would stay in their own country. But you've got some who come to the country and there we are, they're so super duper happy to learn the language of our old England, just like if they went to another country. It could be anywhere on the earth. Okay, Martinish babies, but you've got others, okay, where they solely do not want to learn another language. Now, of course, this can cause, there we are, serious barriers in communication. I have talked about different languages previously, Martinishlik babies, on my videos, okay? And I just believe at the end of the day, okay, it's one of those situations, Martinishlik babies, okay? You either want to learn a language or you do not, simple things. But if you do not want to learn a language and you do not want to integrate into a different country, whether it be England or anywhere else, well, either the only other thing to do is to go back to their own country, and that is not myself being nasty or bitchy or anything. Either go back to their own country or, I don't know, go and venture somewhere entirely different. That would be my view on this. Okay, but let's get back to this video now. So, what they were talking about, it's to do with as well, because the other thing we've got as well. So this is all linked in together, Martinish babies, right? This is the way that I hear it. Okay, when I'm listening to video, because ones need translators. So say when they all, like in Europe, they all go to these these massive, colossal, where they're all sat there, you know what I mean? They're all talking different languages. Then you need an interpreter. So what is that with an interpreter? Ka-ching, ching, ching. Just like when, say in an airport, if they've got to stop somebody for whatever reason and somebody's unable to speak English, well, then they need an interpreter, which is even more ka-ching, 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 ching. Okay? So I got what Beatrix, was saying, okay? And what they're also discussing, our dear little Mal and Beatrix, is that, eventually, say even with the German language, it would be disappearing. Okay, Martinishlik babies, because we all know where ones want it to lead now then, which leads myself to saying that if you was to get rid of your language, right, do you see where this is going? There we are, Martinishlik babies. Where it's going is, right, is that then they'd say, oh, okay, if we hear such and such speaking in their own language, oh, that's an offence. So either put you somewhere else, incarcerate or something like this. This is along the lines where my noddle was going. Okay, Martinishtik babies, but I believe that everybody should have their own language. Okay, yes, they should. But I do not believe it should just be a one world thing. No, I do not. And I've always said that I do not believe that, that one should invade somebody else's country. Now, something else what Beatrix was talking about, because this is all to do with borders and everything like that. Well, we've all got it. There we are, Martinishlik babies at the moment to do with borders, okay? And what she's saying is, okay, is that at the end of the day, if there isn't a war going on, as an example, although she did mention Afghanistan, but as an example, if there is no longer a war, say in Afghanistan, well, then they should go back to their own country. There we are. And I totally, there we are, agree with that statement. Okay, Martinish baby. So this has got nothing to do with anybody being racist or prejudiced at all. This is ding, ding, dong, dong. There we are, common sense. If you have to flee somewhere to a different country, I would have thought it was ding, ding, dong, dong, damn well common sense, man. That you would only be there as a temporary measure. That is my words, as a temporary measure. Okay, my delicious babies, not as a permanent setup. Okay, my delicious babies, but this is not what we're seeing. Okay, my delicious babies, and this is not just in England, it's not just in Germany, it's not just in Sweden, it's not just in Italy, this is going on in a lot of places. Now then, so that's what I wanted to say about that, okay? At the end of the day, everybody has their own language, right? And everybody should keep to their own language. But I'll repeat once more, if they are in a different country and they happen to be a foreigner, because we're all foreigners at the end of the day, aren't we? If I go to another country, I'm a foreigner. Do you see what I mean? Ding, ding, dong, dong, common sense. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to work that out. Okay, so I'm not saying that to you, my delicious babies, and I'm not being sarcastic, or do you understand? Well, I flipping well am. Okay? But the fact of the matter is, when ones do not want to integrate and they refuse to learn the language, of course, with some delicious babies, there we are, it is selective. Like no speak English business. Well, they've just spoken English, isn't it? So how can somebody stand there and say, no speak English, when you've just damn well spoken it? This is the issues, my delicious babies, that I have. It's called selective. I'll repeat that again. Okay, my delicious babies, yes, okay. Just like when ones have selective hearing. So ones want to hear one thing now, they don't want to listen to nothing else, isn't it? Now, I happen to know if the countries, if everything was ended and they had the opportunity because they really, really miss their countries. Okay, I happen to know ones over the years, my delicious babies, they would go back tomorrow. If it was the end to everything, they could go back because they miss their own country, bless them. Do you see what I mean, my delicious babies, okay? So I was listening to this conversation. So my delicious babies, should anybody happen to have any form of an interest, I'm not talking to anybody who already knows who our lovely little Mal Cares, Mornings with Mal Cares Rumble. I'm not talking to anybody who already knows. I'm talking to our delicious babies who are unaware. But it's a very, very sensible, there we are, and common sense, there we are, conversation. But again, I will say one thing now then, and this is not my negativity, not one bit. It doesn't matter how you rock and roll this, my delicious babies. The fact of the matter is, if you was to get in, whatever, what's going to change? So that's what I have to say to do with that video, my delicious babies. Now then, let me go on to the next thing now. So let's go on to this one. So this is tis the season, it seems. Well, I usually say tis the season at the Fete Crumbo, don't they, my delicious babies? But this is tis the season to be delivering leaflets. You know, because it's all to do with voting and all this shat. So the woman who came to deliver the leaflets, she said, oh, she went to hand me a leaflet, and I said, no, thank you. I just didn't want the leaflet. I said, I do not want it. And I actually said, I do not believe that we should have any government, that we need any government in any of our countries. I also explained to her, because I never knew this, I think till about 3 years back, to do with Poland. I did say this on one of my videos, and I advertised it as where to go and look. I do not need to do that again. Okay? That for the 1 year, the Polish were lawless, which meant that they had no government. But if you really look at it, Martelish babies, there we are. It's always been, there we are, lawless. Okay, Martelish babies, and that's in all of our countries, yes. But in that 1 year, where ones would have expected to hear, your man who was having a conversation with another man on the videos, that, there'd be all trouble and strife and everything. There was no such thing. In that 1 year, everybody, I call it old-fashioned saying, mucked together. Everybody helped one another. So therefore, they would have been better off, the Polish, bless them, there we are, left it alone. You see what I'm saying, yes? And this is what I believe, there we are, these are afraid of as well. Because if we were all just left to our own devices, and your woman there, I did say to her, because I did raise my voice slightly, Martelish babies, but I did say to her, I said, I'm not shouting at yourself. I said, but at the end of the day, we don't need government. She then turned around and said, but we need. I said, no, we do not. I said, one's looking for a saviour. I said, and one's been babied too much. You see what I mean, Martelish babies? And this is what I believe in. So I'm not going to change what I've got to say. Anyway, I told her, I said, so there's my door number. I said, I beg you with the Lord of mercy, tell them my door number and tell them the road that I live on. I said, I beg you with the Lord of mercy. I said, there's my number. Tell them. I said, that is how I feel. I said, if I had 2 weeks, I said, to turn this country, there we are, to turn this country around, there we are, I would. Because I truly believe in my heart to heart, there we are, that I would get, there we are, an abundance to help, there we are, to do this. Okay, Martelish babies, I do not see myself as a weak woman at all, Martelish babies, no matter what they want us to believe. I am certainly not weak. Okay, Martelish babies, I do things, there we are, to my own advantage. There we are, simple things. You see what I mean? Okay, Martelish babies, that is how, there we are, I operate. Okay? And I was just done telling your woman there now then. She said, you just look after that little, we don't like this word, anyway. She said, you just look after, I prefer to call them our beautiful little sons and daughters. You just look after your little dog now then. I said, yes, I will, And she told me she had a number of pussycats. I says, you look after your pussycats as well, yes? So you can read in between the line, there we are, what she was really done. There we are. Done saying. You see what I mean? Yeah, I'll look after my corner, seeing as I want to take part of the egg box apart on the corner. You know what I mean, Martelish babies? But at the end of the day, she must look after her own damn pussycats as well, isn't it? Yes. So there she is, going around thinking that she's helping everybody, popping the leaflets through. What is wrong with the woman? I mentioned about our lovely, mornings with Malkay. I told her, I said to your woman there, I said, I'm listening to do with Germany now. You see what I mean? See, and I also said to her that this is a level of brainwashing, that we're under. Do you see what I mean, Martelish babes? And I also explained to her that I've been spending years, there we are, deprogramming. Because I'm never on and off voted for many years. You see, but it's a leaflet, and that is what I said to her as well. I said, I remember, at one time, a leaflet, there we are, used to mean something. I said, but not these days. I said, and my beautiful dear little Nana and Grandad, I said, they'd be turning, I said, to see what is happening here. But you know what? In all fairness, she couldn't really say anything. There's nothing really she could say. But I just give her food for thought. And I said, you please go on to DuckDuckGo, quack, quack. I said, and take a listen to Mornings with Malkay, Rumble. I said, listen to the latest video that I've been listening to now then. You see what I mean? And I said to her, I said, and I'm speaking up. I said, for all of England, I said, having to put up with this bloody crap. this is what it is, Martelish little babies. It's a load of effing crap, man. Shat is what this is. I'm not shouting at you, Martelish little babies, but you know what? It absolutely, absolutely pees me well off. It really does, Martelish little babies. And anyway, so separately now, so that's that situation. Anyway, let's see if we've given the woman there now food for thought. Maybe she feels that a Sunday morning is most productive delivering these leaflets when all effing gets done, man. Maybe that's how she's feeling now, isn't it? Because she's also in that birth, it seems. There we are. Do you know what I mean, Martelish babies? Now then, let's switch over to another two things I want to say. So, yeah, I was looking at her Spain, Martelish little babies, to do with Spain now. So there's been ones coming into the country, Martelish little babies. There was a tourist who was attacked by two of these, what do they call them? Illegal immigrants, whatever they call them these days, being robbed and attacked Martelish little babies, okay? So it took two to rob. Effing coward. There we are. Effing cowards, man. Okay? Then there was another clip. Was it two Spanish or two tourists? They were set up on, there we are, I think, was it 16 of them? What the effing hell is all that about? And that's supposed to be the poxy government in Spain allowing this to happen in their own country. You see, we're all getting it, Martelish little babies, you know what I mean? And in reality, we're not going to say it about every single one who comes here. No, we cannot. But in reality, there we are, we're all getting this shite. Now, the fact of the matter is, no country, going back to whatever o'clock, no country, Martelish little babies, needed any other country to come into their country to do with populations. What a crock of effing shite, if ever I've heard, there we are, if ever I've heard this. And we've been hearing it for years now, then, oh, well, it helps, you know. But no, it doesn't, does it? It certainly does not help. Okay, Martelish little babies, right? It's not helping the situation at all, okay? Especially when, you know, it was, put it this way, if it was our English to go into another country, they wouldn't put up with no damn shat. Do you see what I mean? Martelish little babies, okay? Whereas you got others who just want to come here, you know, well, they do not particularly want to come, but they just come here, they just want to work, there we are, get the head down, get on with the job and just be done with it, do you know what I mean? And then you've got others, which I regard as, especially what was going on in Spain, from what I could see, it's only small clips, that is complete thuggery. That is going and attacking innocent on both of those occasions, Martelish little babies. Now then, the final one I want to say for today, okay? Because honestly, every flipping effing day, man, you hear something else, something else. I always found something to laugh about each and every day. There we are. Yes, I do. I was out doing more weeding yesterday. Very productive, actually. Right? It looks a lot neater and a lot tidier. Okay? I've got to keep getting the weeds up. You know what I mean? Martelish babies. But finally, this is to do with Texas now. Now, wait until I tell you this, Martelish babies, because I'm pretty sure, there we are, this will be happening in a country or a town, there we are, or a town near you. Okay, Martelish babies, and it was only, what was it, so many years ago when they raided the nail bars over here in England, Martelish babies. I mentioned this a long time back on my videos. Okay? And they found that ones are sleeping on mattresses, you know, up above these shops and all this. That's going back some years ago now. Okay, sleeping on mattresses and everything, having to work around the clock, when they're probably being told that they're coming here, they're going to get a job, they're going to get paid. You know, this could be, I don't know, Chinese, Thai, I don't know, Vietnamese, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Martylish little babies. But the fact of the matter is, it's clearly not how it went. It was having the same years ago as well, to do with Polish, bless them, having to work for nothing, leaving them in the shed, in the cold. In some cases, being tarred up. This is disgusting, putrid business, man. And none of that should be going on. But let me get back to this matter in hand. So, this is to do with a nail bar in Texas, my delicious babies can. So, Mama Bear went in with her little baby daughter Bear, who happened to be 14. Okay, my delicious babies to go and get their nails done. So I can only assume that the Mama Bear was, I don't know, I suppose they have them in rows, don't they? So she was obviously at one end having her nails done, which, by the way, my delicious babies, this Mama Bear went to this nail bar all of the time. So it's not like a one-off. Okay, my delicious babies, now her daughter happened to go. So she was at the other end. Now, while this was all happening, now apparently what this was concerning was a Vietnamese woman behind the table, who was doing the nails of the 14-year-old young lass, the Mama Bear's little baby bear's nails, who was 14. Now, what this young lass said is that she's not very comfortable. And when I tell you the reason why, my delicious babies, and I hope, there we are, to our dear, that my dear creator, okay, that this message gets out. Okay, my delicious babies, because it appears that this Vietnamese woman who's doing the nails to this young lass who was 14 now then, happened to be talking to an older man on her dog and burn, her phone, one of these delicious babies, okay? Now, somehow, this older man put his thumbs up. So we know what that means, don't we, my delicious babies, okay? So what happened next? So the young lass, bless her dear little soul, not in that way, okay? She said to her dear Mama Bear that she was not very comfortable, she wasn't very happy, and she wanted to go and sit in the car. Okay, my delicious babies, okay? Then a Mama Bear, bless her, not in that way, she then found out, there we are, what this was about. Now, what is it that I'm saying, my delicious babies? This is about grooming. Okay? So that older man was on the dog and bone to that Vietnamese woman now. And this was to do with young lasses. And of course, the Mama Bear, because she did call the old Bill, the policeman, delicious babies, okay? And even the old Bill, even he said there's something strange about all of this. Okay? I think the owner came out, and then she said, well, I've got to speak to my husband because he's away, I don't know, flying or something like that, okay? But the question is, my delicious babies, how many others, there we are, have they done this to? Now, what the Mama Bear said, and she thought nothing of it, because in reality, really, you wouldn't think nothing of it. So I got where the Mama Bear was coming from here. But who was it? A man who was doing her nails? He happened to say how pretty the Mama Bear's daughter was, who was 14. But she didn't think, she thought that he was being polite. Do you see what I mean, my delicious baby? So I get where she was coming from there. Okay? And I'm pretty sure anybody else would also see it that way. Okay, my delicious babies, but no, this was not a normal situation, no. So what they were doing was clearly, well, it's quite obvious to myself, right? Ding, ding, dong, dong, that they were obviously eyeing up, isn't it? and seeing, the customers and who was coming through the door now. There we are. Do you see what I'm saying, Martelischlik babies? That is a very sneaky, lower than a snake's belly, and you cannot get lower than that, Martelischlik babies business now. And bless that dear teenager, bless the little 14-year-old. She knew that something was very wrong. There we are, very wrong here. Now, that Vietnamese one then, because we don't know what's happened anyway since. But that Vietnamese one there now then, number one, she should have been sacked on the spot. And number two, she should have been flipping effing banged out the country and never to return. Okay, Martelischlik babies, and get rid of the shite. That is shite. Now, if it's going on over there, Martelischlik babies, you can bet your bottom dollar, just an old-fashioned saying, that it's going on over here. There we are, it's going on in different places. Okay, Martelischlik babies, and of course, once they get talking, because that's what it is, isn't it? You'd have a conversation, just like if you went into a hairdresser's, there we are, you'd have a conversation. If you're going to get your ears pierced, or if you're having tattoos done, you'd have a conversation, wouldn't you? So you can see, there we are, how this rocks and rolls. I hope that you've all followed me, Martelischlik babies, but I wanted to get that message out. Okay, Martelischlik babies, because this is not good. Okay? But bless that dear little 14-year-old. But I'll tell you what now then, the mama bear, after all this happened, she was in tears. The poor dear mama bear, bless her, she was in tears over this. Okay? But but the old Bill, he said himself, he said there's something very words to effect, very strange about all of this. Okay? So ones need to, you know what I mean, keep their eyes open and keep their ears open, because it appears to myself, there we are, there's a lot more, let's just say, different things now then, there we are, going on, Martelischlik babies, it appears, okay? But of course, I'm pretty sure that if we look more into this, that you probably find that, things now have been going on a long time, Martelischlik babies, you'll more than likely find, okay? So that's the end of my video, okay? So it's just a bit of information, okay? I will, if I can find that video, I will advertise it, okay, so that you can hear it all yourself. But what a horrible situation to put that poor young lass, that little 14-year-old, to put her in that situation. But she knew something was wrong, there we are, and bless her. So she clearly, bless her dear little soul, has been brought up, you know what I mean, to use up there a noddle. Do you see what I mean, Martelischlik babies? To know when something's incorrect, it's not right. So fair play to her dear mama bear for that. But this really upset her, beautiful little mama bear. Not in that way, it really upset her. But they'll never ever be going there again. And quite frankly, there we are, it should be damn well, there we are, shut down. Never mind, just a tap on the bloody wrist, old-fashioned saying. Shut the bloody damn business down. I mean, if you look here, there's an Al bar up the road, there's an Al bar in the town. So everywhere you go, I tell you what, there appears to be an abundance of Martelischlik babies. This is not me being nasty. The ones want to go and get their nails done, go and get their nails done. Look, it's not my business, is it? You know, they do not clothe me, feed me, pay my bills. I do that myself. So what somebody else does is their own business, isn't it? But what we seem to have an abundance of is Turkish barbers, nail bars, and what's the other one? Well, I mean, you know, we've got flipping Just Eats everywhere. There's another one. I bloody forgot now. Anyway, Martelischlik babies, but they're the main two. Charity shops. That's it. That's the third one, Martelischlik babies. So we seem to have an abundance of all of this. When you've got other small businesses, Martelischlik babies, who scrimped and scraped and everything, that have been closed down. You only need to go up to the local town centres. You only have to go into our Brummy town centre to see, office blocks, everything up into our local little centre up the road, shops, and down the road from where I live, my delicious little babies. There was a cafe there that was there for whatever o'clock. I've been here over 10 years, so that was there a lot longer. Probably, I don't know, probably about 20 years. And that had to close down. So what's the question that I'm asking, my delicious babies? I know what the answer is. Okay, and I'm pretty sure, there we are, for yourselves, you know the answer. So as it's so now then, you got this. They've got the same in Cornwall, haven't they? Well, when I was listening to our lovely Not In That Way, Not In That Way, our lovely Debbie, who used to be on UK Column, she hasn't uploaded any more videos. Matron, her channel is. But she's probably working on another project, which she is, because I mentioned it months ago. But the point of the matter is, Martinish Babies in Cornwall. I'm pretty sure it's on Debbie's channel, unless it was on somebody. No, I think it was another uploader, and they were walking through this town centre. Okay, but you've always got an owl bar. You've always got a Turkish barbers. You've always got charity shops. But where's the butchers? They got rid of all the butchers. Do you see what I mean? And then what do they put in place of it? So they put, these tube bones and all these things, which some of it has made my beautiful little Ruby poorly as well with it. When before, you could go to a butcher's and I do not eat meat, poor little babies. But anyway, but the point is, I've got nothing against anybody who eats meat. I'm just saying that's just how I feel. But the point of the matter is, my delicious baby, okay, because this is not talking about who eats what. You could go into a butcher's and you could say, and the butchers usually were so calmed all them decades ago, they'd even say, here's a bone for your little, your little baby or whatever. Do you understand what I mean? And of course, it's that marrow inside, which is very healthy. So they get rid of the butchers. They put these colossal, what do they call them? Supermarket smart little babies, and they're doing the digital. I've seen this on another channel. Where did I see that now? I've looked at that many videos, my delicious babies. They're putting the digital, which means that they can change the pricing, two different ways, my delicious babies, with who buys what in a day. Oh yes, my delicious babies. I've seen that on a video as well, my delicious babies as well. Okay, so there's so much going on. But ones need to, be made, very aware, of what is going on. And as we very well know, behind the charity shops, behind the barbers, behind the nail bars, there's something else going on. It's a front, come on. Anybody with a ding, ding, dong, dong, half a noddle knows this. It for flipping decades. With different businesses which are coming. Anybody knows this now. So nobody can, play and act dumb here. And I do not like that word, but nobody can play dumb, isn't it? It's there in our board races, there we are, for everybody to see. Do you see? And it's very frustrating where you see other honest businesses. Please do not get me wrong. Everybody has a bookkeeper. Everybody has an accountant. Come on, ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Every little house. You save a bit where you need to save, isn't it? Right. So everybody knows that. Everybody would have to, certainly not be all the cups in the cupboard to not know that. But when you look at the average business, all they want to do, there we are, is just get by, just sell what they need to sell, pay the bills, probably go on a couple of holidays a year, whatever, pay the mortgage, you know what I mean, and be done with it. But instead, those businesses are all going, okay, and then what you're left with? Do you see what I mean, my delicious babies? So at the end of the day, it's like if anybody doesn't get a haircut, I'm not saying they can do what they want. It's not my business. I'm looking at, there we are, behind what's going on. There we are. That is what I'm looking at. Seeing and hearing. Do you see what I mean, my delicious babies? Okay? Nobody needs that many barbers. Nobody needs that many nail bars. So what the effing crack is going on here? We know what's going on. Okay? So I'm going to leave my video like that, but I'm not shouting at you marginalist babies, okay? But ones that we need to be damn well made, there we are, aware of this, of what is going on, because it is very, there we are, damn serious, okay? So wherever you are in the world, whether it's morning, afternoon or evening, please have a super duper delicious time. You only get one life, my little honey bunnies. Sending peace, love, harmony and bright blessings to each and every one of you. May your beautiful little selves, your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected, and how I love you so. You're wonderful, beautiful, delicious, and I love you, yeah. There's a flat over the back. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there must be some, there we are, spine equipment there as well. More than likely, my delicious babies. Who is it who's selling the flat? Is it Cotton? Cottons? Yeah. Know all about the cotton, don't we? My delicious babies many decades ago. Oh, one last thing I want to say, my delicious babies. You know, when everyone says, oh, you know, China, you know, nothing against Chinese, my delicious babies, because I'm pretty sure that their ancestors too would be turning to see what China's had to go through for all these decades. Of course, you know, we're seeing it with Bangladesh, with Indonesia, we're seeing it with India, we're seeing it with everywhere, my delicious babies, you know, all Malaysia, you know, we're making clothes, you know, having to be slave and driven, you know what I mean, my delicious babies, you know. Well, of course, you know, we could make clothes in our own country, but of course, you know, for one reason or another, that does not seem to be allowed, does it? When it's you know, profit over anything else, delicious babies, including one's little lives, of course. You know what I mean, delicious babies, bless all their dear little souls, not in that way, not in that way. But the fact of the matter is, when everybody, either everybody's in on this together. This is why I see it, delicious babies. Either everybody's in, there we are, in on this together. But when everybody thinks now then that China's a superpower, really? I look in my camera now, really? That is the question that I'm asking. I already, there we are, know the answer. Okay? No, this is what it is, there we are, being made to be led to believe. Because you push everything in one way to make somebody believe, you know, some bodies in the world, you know, like mankind, that one has the power. I get the power. The fact of the matter is, no, they do not. Because if they did, ding, ding, dong, dong, then their population wouldn't be surveilled the way it is being. Also, they would be able to go somewhere to air their feelings of how they feel about things, martylish babes. But they're not, sorry, excuse me, being allowed to do that at all. So who really runs China? Because it's not the communist, whatever they're called, government, is it? Because he too is a little muppet puppet. They all are martylish babies, for one. Okay, so can you see what's going on? I can see, there we are, I can see what's going on. You see what I mean? But China does not own China. No, they do not. And I do not give a damn what anybody tells myself. That is my view. I do not expect anybody else to share my view. But I'm telling you now. Oh, and that's the last thing to do with our lovely Mal K's show. Okay, what is it? The one to is it Germany and Russia or something to do war? Well, of course, Germany doesn't want war with Russia, and let's not forget, just before I leave, my delicious babies, okay, that an awful lot goes on. You know, come on, because you've got a lot of Russians who go over there, isn't it? You know what I'm saying, my delicious babies? Yes. You know, just to keep trade going and all that. You know what I mean? Martylish babies. So it's not just our country. And it's not just other countries. Okay, martylish babies, what some of there we are, have one's believe. There we are. Okay, martylish babies, and this is what this is all about. But I had to put everything in one pot, isn't it? Which is the China. to make everybody feel that China is a superpower when it's not. It's not. And even to this day, it's still been, there we are, slave and driven. Okay, Mads, little babies, no matter how they want to put it out. I've seen how many whatever o'clock videos saying that China, oh, they're very happy, oh, they're so happy. Are they really? Are they really? Well, if they were so happy, Mads, Licious Babies, I'm not talking to yourselves, because if you're listening to my channel, then the chances are, there we are, Mads, Licious Babies, that you and our noddles really spare a thought the same, okay? But you will see an abundance of channels, not that nice abundance, where they're telling you, oh, you know, how the Chinese, you know, they're so happy and everything. Okay, Mads, Licious Babies, no. This is not true at all. If they were so happy, Martinistic babies, then why is it so that China and everywhere else want to know about all of our business in all of the countries now, yet they don't want anybody to know what's going on in their country? What is that all about? What is that all about, Martinistic babies? Yes. Okay? So at the end of the day, the fact of the matter is, this is what they want everybody, there we are, to believe. So, you know, if you've got these, whatever you call them, you know, everybody seems to have a label. Everybody seems to have a name. These analysts or whatever, you know what I mean? Martinist babies. This is no disrespect to anybody. I'm just saying there must be, there we are, in on the game. Especially if their numbers go bing, 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 bing. You see what I mean, Martinist babies? Yes. And just let you know, one last thing before I go. My dog and Burn has been seriously, there we are, spied on. Okay, Martinist babies, because this green thing here, this tiny green, that comes on when I'm recording, like I'm talking to yourselves, Martinist babies. So if I talk to anybody on WhatsApp, if I talk to anybody normally who was to call myself, or messages, a normal message, not just on WhatsApp, I've talked a lot about WhatsApp, okay, even a normal message, you can see the tiny green recording. They're basically listening to everything I'm saying, and I'm pretty sure, which I'll pretty much be certain, they can see every message as well. Okay, Martinistic babies. So this is what I'm going through. There we are. Okay, Martinistic babies. It's not a figment of my imagination. Not at all. Okay? So when ones are out there, which we've all been talking about for whatever o'clock, and they feel that all these cameras are going to make everybody safe, come on, wake the effing hell up. You know what I mean? Wake up, smell a damn coffee, and see what's being done. Okay, because this has got nothing to do with our safety, but it's got everything to do with wanting to know, there we are, what each and every one of us are doing on a daily basis, including going to the toilet to piss and shit, and including to be able to see through walls, which I talked about a long time back. In fact, our lovely Rawny Lucan killed on YouTube, Martinish babies, which every time I mention, I either never got no view, no nothing, and I probably won't get no views for this video, and it'll probably be on blank. It's like, looks like a little tape. So I'll repeat again, when YouTube doesn't want myself to, you know what I mean? As if to say, oh no, we don't like that one. Do you see what I mean, Martinish babies? Of course you'll see it when, you know, when eventually it gets uploaded, if it does. It takes hours upon hours. It's very rare my videos take 5-10 minutes now. It's usually hours. Was it the last video? That's only had 3 views. That was took about nearly 7 hours to upload Martinish babies. You see what I mean? So at the end of the day, that's what I'm going through in Martinish babies. But no, all I do is cut through the shart. But you have to ask yourself a question as well, don't you? Why is Germany having to suffer and they can't get the gas from Russia? And anyway, why should any of us have to be buying 2 ways, gas or anything from other countries? when we've all, there we are, got an abundance of it, there we are, in our own damn countries. Do you see, my delicious babies? Yes? So when others are there chatting their business now on their channels, okay, oh yeah, and China's, China's a super. No, it's not. It's certainly not. And like I said, nobody has to listen to what I've got to say. Nobody has to agree with what I've got to say. But if nobody can see it, feel sorry for you. Anyway, my delicious babies, thank you so very much for listening. But like I said, I'm not shouting at anybody. I do not expect anybody to agree with myself, and I do not expect to put my beliefs upon others or to force anybody. Do you know what I mean? To agree with anything that I say. However, I would have just thought, ding, ding, dong, dong, that there's going to come a point where some will actually sit back and say, there we are, ooga, ooga, ding, ding, dong, dong. Oh, yeah, there's a point to be made there. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? Yes. Anyway, sending peace, love, harmony, and bright blessings to each and every one of you. May your beautiful little selves, your beautiful little families, may you all be fully protected, and how I love you so. Yeah, I think I've always said that. I might have done, I might not. Anyway, you know what it is? I've got so much in my flipping noddle, my delicious little babies. Kyle's going to do my last bit of weeding today. I'll go and see how wet the grass is. Anyway, my delicious babies, and you just please take care of yourselves now. Please try to take care of others. Yes, this is a longer video. There we are, but at least I've got everything I wanted to say. There we are, off my chest. Okay, for today, my delicious babies. Yeah, but if I was you, my delicious babies, I'd certainly be having a look at your to see how many of yours, my delicious babies, are also being spied on. You may just get a little surprise, surprise. I mean, I hope it's not that way, my delicious babies, but Samsung, there we are, is well known for it, my delicious babies, you know what I mean? So I'm pretty sure that the other phones as well, well, on Ursa, there we are. Do you know what I mean, my delicious babies? Car, yes. Anyway, so until my next video, thank you so very much for listening. Like I said, nobody will probably listen to my videos anyway. But so very much love. You just take care now then. Yeah, we just need to cut through the flipping charts. There we are, get to the point and see, there we are, which pot is really rocking what. You know what I mean, my delicious babies? Take care. Love ya. Thank you for any views, for any likes, the occasional comment, which is a rarity. But no worries, my delicious babies. Somebody's always seeing, somebody's always hearing. Much love. Take care. Thank you. Goodbye.